Hello everyone, we're going to be talking about setting up Conan Exiles modding. This is an intro video to get you familiar with the environment, how it works, and building a very basic mod. The very first step is going and installing Unreal Engine. You can go to Epic Games and grab the engine. It will install a pretty big package. It also comes with quite a few other things, but we're looking for the modding tab. Once you see the modding, you'll see a few examples. First one's Arc. Second one here is the Conan Exiles devkit. Now, I've already installed it. What you'll see here when you first come in is just like the Arc devkit, you'll see an install button. When you click that, it's actually going to ask you where to install it. This is very, very critical. The biggest issue is Windows in general only supports a 255 character path. This becomes a problem because normally by default it'll install into C:/program files x86 slash what is it? I think it's Epic / Unreal Engine. And then after that, it puts the stuff in the modding folder. So it's Conan Sandbox, Conan Exiles, Conan Sandbox / and you end up with this really deep path before you've done anything. This is a bit of a problem because now you're already bumping against the limits. Here's the other gotcha. The paths of all of the dev kit and other pieces are very deep. So when you actually go to cook, which is, fast forward a bit, it's how you build out the mod. It will say, oh, we're trying to package up this resource in this very deep folder that exceeds 255 characters, and it can't do that. So it basically fails to include those files in your package. That stops everything. So when the very first thing you want to do is click install, bring it over, and it will ask you what folder. Now, I have everything on my E drive. I have a big giant drive there. So in that drive, in whatever drive you choose, doesn't matter which one, C, D, E, whatever you have, you want to choose something very small as your start path. So I just choose the base folder, which will then install it, and you'll see, actually can't see it from here. But once it's installed, you should be able to launch it. The very first time, it will take about 12 centuries to actually get started. It's pre-compiling a lot of resources. It's putting together all of the materials. It can take sometimes, I think probably the very first time I opened, it was about 20 minutes, between 10 and 20 minutes. And this is very common. After you have it installed, running a few times, then opening it up should take probably about a minute or so, maybe a little bit less or more, depending. You'll usually see it saying initializing and go to 72% and hang there for a while. This is it loading up all of the maps and all of the secondary resources into memory. So that's what it's doing here. I'm going to pause until that's done. Okay, so it loaded up. I have here something I was already playing with. So when you very first come in, you'll see a few windows. You'll also have an open map. This is a great test map. It's called Almost Empty. So let's talk about, I want to create a new mod. The very first thing I want to do is up here, you'll see a very important button. If you click the actual button, it'll pop up a menu that you use to actually build out that mod. We're not going to do that yet. Very first thing is we want to go and select the down arrow and create new mod. So we're going to call this UI test, because we're going to make a very small UI change. That way we can kind of show what it looks like. It's going to go through the same process of loading up the UI with a new mod. What it's creating in the background, there's a mods folder within within the folder structure that contains all of your specific files. It's creating right now an empty environment from the base and then adding an empty folder with just your changes. So again, we're going to pause for a moment. And we're back. So the actual time for this is about 40 seconds. So it's not terrible. What I found is the things that cause cooking to take longest, if you make changes to the base player controller, that will cause it to take a very long time to do any builds. So let's talk about what we have here. We're starting out in this empty map. This is called Almost Empty. So Almost Empty is a great map because it lets you make changes without having to worry about some large level load up. You can obviously do maps, new mods, things like that, but for basic stuff, this is excellent. You'll see all of the maps if you go into content, maps, test maps, and there's a whole bunch of different developers, and they've left us with a whole nice selection of different maps that we can test with. So for this, we wanted to make a small UI edit. Down in the UI folder, you'll see, let's go into main menu. Let's not change the main menu, that's a little more difficult. Let's go into HUD. So we have the in-game menu, and you'll be familiar with this. When you hit escape in the game, it'll actually pop up and show you this view. So we're going to go in and we're going to duplicate this guy. Put a new one in here, paste, and you'll see it created a dupe somewhere in here, right down at the bottom. So it's fine. We're not going to... Oh, actually, let me show you. You could very easily reposition this. If you select the panel, you see a little up arrow. So this is great if you want to just stick in, new function in this menu. We're going to call it... Let's call it test panel. Now, I don't want to get into what it takes to do all this. I just want to show that it's working. So this is a great quick change. We're going to compile and save this. Now at this point, it's in the menu. So if we go to do a run, the very first thing you want to do when you're testing out your mod is hit play on hopefully mostly empty maps, so it's nice and fast. You can kind of test out multiple changes. Now my character was already created. Oops. So here's one of the difficult parts. Right now, Unreal Engine has some built-in defaults. So if you hit escape, it will exit the play. So we want to do Control-Shift-M. That's M as in mother. It will bring up your menu, and now we see we have our extra test panel here. And there's lots of options you can set and play with. So for now, that's good enough to show that yes, we got our changes in, and we're running and doing great. So at this point, we're ready to, let's assume we've built our own code, we've done a whole bunch of activities, and feel free to dig into my other videos, which are coming up, to see more details or look around others. But this is really how to get from A to Z on the mod itself. So we're going to click on the Dreamworld Dev Kit. UI Test is a great name for this. You can mark it as private, public, friends. This is the visibility within the Steam Workshop. So I like to select friends. That way it's very easy to distribute to the folks that I'm friends with. The other piece is direct installation, which I'll be showing you later, which involves you copying the built mod, which ends up in a .pack file, which is like basically it's a compressed zipped version of all of the files in a single file. You can drop that on a server. You can also drop it locally on the client. So we'll go through both of those. So cooking, unfortunately takes a very long time. So we're going to kick it off. I'll pause it when it's building. This particular change, because there's not too much, shouldn't cause too much headache. So we're going to click on Build Mod, and you'll see it says in the alt text, this will cook and pack your mod. And a warning that it will take a while. It's nice to keep an eye on the log output. After a while, you'll get familiar with the different sections of the cooking. So I'm going to pause this and resume as soon as it's finished cooking. All right, so it just finished, and we see a message pop up that says, "Mod built successfully. The mod is ready for usage." So when we look at the output log, we see a couple of things. Down at the bottom, you see, most importantly, the final output folder. We don't have to actually browse there, because fortunately they have a button for us to do that. We can also upload the mod to Steam. I'm not going to do that right now, but basically we'll kick it off into the workshop. I'm going to go into the built mod folder. That's going to open up the where this particular file is at. I'm going to grab this guy. Now we're going to test it out locally to make sure that the cook was successful. So I have my Steam folder here. So in my case, I've installed Steam apps on E. So E, Steam, Steam apps, Common, Conan Exiles, Conan Sandbox. Now the initial folder mods may not be there. I had to create it initially. Just create a new folder in the Conan Sandbox called mods, go into there and put it in. I have a couple other mods in here that won't interfere with our testing, because we can select which mods are active. So I pasted it in. You'll see that the number of changes are very small. That 131K is going to be essentially just the just that one form, so just the in-game menu form. So now that this is in, we can go into Steam and launch Conan Exiles. And I'm kicking it off in the background. All right, so give one moment. I have to switch screens for this. Okay, so now we've fired up the game, and we have the mod in the folder. So it's actually going to show up in the mod list. So when we get to this main menu, we can modify the main menu as well. So mods aren't just specific to in-game. All of these are editable. So when we go to mods, we see our UI test here. I'm going to pull out my selected mod, just put in this guy that we just did, and you'll see any of the stuff that you put in the mod folder in this guy. So let's go back, let's use the co-op, and let's hit continue. And this should show our test in the in-game. Okay, here we are in the moment while I kill the audio for Conan, so I don't have to compete. Okay, muted. Okay, so at this point, it didn't pick it up. One moment while I restart, because the other mod was selected. It picked it up and it didn't pick up ours. This really is a pain, because essentially it will a lot of times not pick up your changes until it's restarted. I've yet to figure out why that it's such a pain in the butt about that, but generally a restart after selecting the mod will get everything rolling. So we're going to kick it off again, and this time hopefully it will behave itself. Alright, so we're loading up. so let's take a look at the mods again. This time it looks good. And we're going to go in and I'm going to recreate just in case that was the problem. Oh, be aware if you have a local campaign, mod development may cause you some headache, so you may not want to invest too much time testing local. Oh, sweet. Look at that. That is no bueno. So, there we go. I've noticed with the mods, I've seen this happen a few times where after the first run, it will just crash. I think this is a mod specific problem, but it doesn't happen every time, so I'm not gonna dig in too far on it. But I wouldn't call this quite stable yet. The whole client isn't stable, to be honest, though. But it's getting there. It's quite a bit better. All right. So let's fire up again. One more time. All I want to see is my menu. So now that we're going in, let's do a quick and dirty build out of this young lady. We're going to escape the initial part, and now we see our test panel. So a little bit of restarting, a little bit of crashing. However, once we've gotten through all that, there it is, our test panel for another one. This doesn't do anything. We didn't put any code behind it, but it just shows that the menus, pretty much every resource in the game is editable, and it's pretty easy to put in. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to install this particular mod on my server. The mod has to be installed in both the server and the client for it to be active. Right now, there's no automatic way to go from to sort of push out everything automatically. So give me one moment while I set up. Okay, so I'm running a 15 slot server on Ping Perfect. This is not an attempt at advertising. I have it locked down. So please don't join me. This is just for testing. It is actually pretty straightforward. Almost all of the different servers and all that will do the exact same thing. So when we go into the file manager, the very first thing we're going to want to do is just exactly the same as our local. We're going to go into Conan Sandbox, and just like there, mods may not be created, the folder, feel free to create the mod. I've got another mod in here running. I'm going to delete this guy and then add the new mod. It's already in use. Hang on. So let me go in and stop the server. And once it's stopped, we'll hop over and do some work on this guy. So almost all of the server folks that offer this. You could also run your own local server. It's the same process. In this case, I wanted to show something slightly familiar. We're going to go to upload, and let's go out and grab our UI test and upload that guy. So now we've uploaded it, and essentially it's on there. We're going to go in and edit this mod list. The mod list requires that you list the file name. You can do star, which means it'll take any path before it. That's great because it gets rid of any path complications. So This is just a text file, CRLF delimited, nothing special. If you have multiple mods, they all have to be in the mod list. That's it. We've installed it on the server. So at this point, if we go in, we can start up the server. Fingers crossed, everything will work. We know the mod is good, and we're going to go in and let me launch while that's getting started the Steam client in the background. Now there's a nice little shortcut for having your favorite games stored. There's no real simple. Let me throw up the other desktop. One moment. All right, so we're going to go into Steam. So this is one fun thing. If we go into library, pardon my pause just for 1 second. So if we go in, we can say view servers, and this will bring up the server list. Now, in this case, I have my test server here. I'm going to connect to this guy. It's going to kick it off and automatically connect to my server in the background. So this is the one that we installed the mod for on here. It's running the same, and it's going to launch directly into the client and land us directly on the server. That way you don't have to go through the server browser and all the rest of that. It's all handled through Steam. So that makes it a little easier to find and connect to your server. We're going to go out and connect, and we should see our mod. Now, this requires that the mod is installed both locally and on the server. This can be done a little bit easier by putting in a workshop and installing through the workshop, but it's the same process. Essentially, the workshop just creates a mods folder, puts the pack file in there. Same with the server. We're just trying to make sure that both sides match and that the mod is selected and active. Again, that may require you to restart your game client once, twice, 3 times. So here I'm in my secure house with no roof, and you see test panel. And this is running on the server, and you see this mod. If we had server code tied into the server, it would let you execute on the server as well. So that's it. At this point, we've went in, installed, created a new mod, cooked the mod, built the pack file, dropped it on our local client, and then finally pushed it out to a server, and then tried connecting that server and testing it. So this is a nice set of steps that you'd normally follow in any development when creating a mod. The mod contents are outside of this is specific to how to build for, the different environments. So let me know if you have any questions. Please leave any comments you may have, and let me know if there's anything you'd like to see. Thanks a lot.